Are we waiting?
I think we're ready. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Home to Saima.
JJ.
I'm Trinidas is gonna lead us out with an invocation, and we have some great topics to cover, and I think we'll be just around about an hour for our conversation tonight. So thank you all for coming. It's wonderful to be together with everyone. Trinidas.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm just taking in each soul on this call here and remembering the preciousness of life. Ma likes to say, and more recently, I feel like since the pandemic began, Ma's been saying it more, is we don't know when we're going to see each other again. We don't know when someone's going to leave the body. We don't know if this is our last time together. We don't know. And at first, I kind of took that a little morbid and I kind of had a hard time with that. It really kind of bothered me. I was like, oh, I don't want to think about that. And the more I've let myself sink into that, the more I presences me to the preciousness of each moment that we really have, and the preciousness of this incarnation, the preciousness of being together right now. There's a wonderful Buddhist saying that talks about an incarnation is like a flash of lightning in the darkness. And I just like, wow, this soul taking birth, boom, we're here, boom, we're not. So I'm just taking in because I don't know when and if we'll ever be in this exact configuration again. So present to the preciousness of our togetherness and looking at each one of you. Imagine being up in the mountains with Travis and Emily there, and in Wheat Ridge area with Raina, or in Scott and Ellen, or with Annette there. Jill joining us from Florida, all of us here together. All of us here together. So I'd love to invite us into that moment of preciousness in this moment to take a deep breath. Exhale. Another deep breath. Exhale. Now I invite us to open. Open to receive. Open to allow. Ma, our higher self, gang, soul, angels, archangels, ascended masters, lady masters, all the beings of light that are here to serve us at this time on the planet. Let's just allow ourselves to open to receive, opening our brain, opening our chakras, opening our subtle bodies, ourselves, to receive these waves and waves of light, of information, of transformation, of the emerging new identity of who we are, of oneness and unity, transcendence of duality, heart, love, the power of consciousness. Just open and allow and receive. Waves and waves. Another full breath. Feeling into our hearts. Feel that love pouring out of our hearts, down our arms, into our hands, into our brain, into our eyes. Feeling our vehicles, physical body, and bringing our awareness to our togetherness on the Zoom call. As the Colorado Community Awakening Service founders who have been together for years in building this vortex of togetherness, community. Another full breath. I invite you to allow that love and that gratitude for our togetherness just to overflow, and with that to allow the eyes to open. Just let that overflow into our togetherness, into the space between us and into each other. How precious, how divine each of you is. Om JJ Saima. Ashley.
Thank you, Trinitas. It's so sweet to be together. Is my volume okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd love to share with our founders a retrospective. We have just reached the mark. We're just into the 5th year of our offering the awakening service together. And some of us were part of the initial let's get the energy moving, and some of us said yes right away initially when the ask came to be a founding member, and some came on board as we went along and built the community. And I created a little retrospective to say thank you to you all for almost 5 years of offering the awakening service. And we've been through some stuff together. So we'll dive into some nitty-gritty conversations about logistics and details. But I thought it would be great to just note this mark of how much we've created together, how far we've come together, and what it is that we've made together, and how many people we've served. So let's see. Screen share, yes, please. Can everybody see that? All right,
Yes.
so we'll begin our retrospective with a rose to say thank you for being here, for saying yes. Thank you for being a founding member, a supporting member, co-creating. Is the volume okay with the music? Okay. So we started with our birthday at 0 years old before we even offered our very first service. And this was actually in December 2018 at the Home Collective, upstairs, the Home Collective. And we started with our first candle lighting ceremony. You'll see that the candles haven't even been lit yet. So we started right from ground zero, starting with our intention to create what it is that we want. Our vision, our values, We even made little cards. I remember this Kriya intensive that Lalita Shrima offered. It was fantastic. We had some wonderful special guests come lead when they were in town. Some wonderful musical guests that came and joined us. Some of our deep dives were very, very deep. Remember Mo's birthday at the Home Collective? And we ended up having to take some of our gatherings outside. We ended up moving over to the Highland Center eventually. And we moved to the Highland Center. We had to do some cleaning up, if I recall. Lots of seva to be done there. And our community continued to grow. Some milestones in the community. Some people left and new people arrived. Some special events, Shiva nights that coincided with our awakening service. Just Shaktified. And we moved some of our services online. COVID happened. We continued online for several years now, which gave us the opportunity to invite a broader community from around the world. And we started meeting outside when we were able to. The one with two Heathers. I love this one. Mm. So much togetherness, so much richness, so much love. Mm. Thank you all. Om Jiji Sema.
Om Jiji Sema.
Gigi Sema. Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah. My pleasure. It was a real joy for me to review some of those photographs from 2018 and 19 and 20 and 21 and 22 and 23. Been through COVID, lost some beautiful, dear community members, gained some beautiful, dear community members, and so grateful for all of you for saying yes to holding this container, this this awakening service. Thank you all. And Alan's gonna share some updates with us about where we're headed since we're done looking backwards.
It's great to reflect on all those. And thank you, Ashley, for showing us the pictures. Good to look back and see all that we've accomplished and where we're headed. So that's what we're going to talk about next. And I just want to express first just my gratitude to this group of individuals, because when I look at all those pictures, that was you know, making that happen and creating that and creating such a great opportunity to have people come together. And so our lead team of Colorado met recently, just a few weeks ago, Ashley, myself, and Doug and Triveni Das. And at that point in time, we decided to look at the awakening service and see where we are right now, you know, with that. As we look back, we can see all the beautiful things that were created. And so we kind of did a look at what was in the past, what's in the present, and what could be in the future. And one of the things we looked at in going back to the past, as you can see from those beautiful images and what we had created, was the vision, the original vision of the service and what was its purpose. And were we still in alignment with that? And so we're looking at that, and just as a refresher, our original vision and intent was to come together as a full Colorado community, not have Denver, not have Boulder, you know, but really together. And we really feel like that was accomplished. And also to provide a space where people could come and we could grow the community. Like the original vision was this growth of growing the community, a space where we could invite people to come and it was open, anyone could feel welcome. And I really feel like that was accomplished. And we all felt that was accomplished. The other piece of it was that the original intent was that the services would be led by Lucinda, Saima's successor, or one of the Mahamandaleshwar, one of Saima's teachers. And that's what we had, you know, as we started out. So we begin to take that vision and look at how did that transfer into what's happening in the present moment. And I will also say part of the vision was to have a space, like to have this happening in a space, you know, and those that were founders were invited to come into this and support that as like a physical space where we could meet and be together, which we had in those two spaces up until COVID, you know. So COVID really took us on a different path. And we all felt, I think as founders, we talked about this, that it was really important to keep it going as COVID descended upon us, so that we could maintain that connection and provide a space for people to come together as community And that's what we've done for the last, past several years since COVID began in March of 2020. So we kept it going through 2020, all online. And then in 2021, we felt like it was all right to bring some of it back in person, which we did outdoors, and we met in the parks. And all of this was sustained because people continued to give through 2020. And if you recall, we then, because it was so much online, we made the decision not to continue to ask people to contribute monetarily, because at that point we didn't know when we were going to be able to go back into a space in person. And so we began to again review kind of the present moment and how are we meeting, or still in alignment with that vision. And we found that not as much as we used to be. Some things have changed. Things change over the years. As Ashley pointed out, we're going into year 5. And some of the things that have changed is, because of COVID, we really no longer have a physical dedicated space. And because we stopped collecting funds, we don't have a set intention to move back into that and try to make that happen again, at least as far as this leadership group discussed. We also know and are aware, and maybe some of you are and aren't, that Lucinda has stepped back and will not be leading any of the awakening services. We also have slowly lost some support, or I don't know if I'd call it support, but people who have become busy in other areas of the Mahamadaleshwar and the Saimad teachers who are not available to be able to come and lead the services. And I can also say that we've noticed there has been a decline in numbers, even though it has been a place online where people could come and could invite others, and also in the summer. Even our own core group has kind of dwindled. We've had some founders who've moved away, supporting members that have moved or are just, moving in different directions. So all of that to say that we also looked at our own commitment level. And I know for myself, I feel like there are areas that I'm being called into that my energy is maybe being directed in a different direction. Some other changes coming up for some of the leadership that could potentially involve them in less and less in the awakening services as well. So all that to say, it just felt like, as we talked about, that energetically, it felt like time to move into a new chapter. We definitely want to look at ways we can keep the community together. But our idea that we came up with and wanted to share with you as the founders is that in this year of 2023, we would phase out the awakening service. And we're committed to looking at keeping them through June. And then Ashley is going to talk a little later about what the future might look like. Doug will share with you kind of how we envision the next services. But that's our proposal that we're coming up with. And of course, if there's people here on this call or anyone listening to the recording that feel strongly that they would like to take the reins and go with it, and keep this going, that is certainly an option. And I'd just like to open it up right now that I've shared this proposal and how we're viewing the direction. What are some feedback from you? What are your thoughts? How does it sound? What are you feeling? And Ashley, if you can take me off a spotlight, just open up to the group. And if you want to share, just can you raise your electronic hand? We'd like to hear from you. I see Mimi disappointed. Yeah, there's some of that.
I see Susan's hand there. I think you're on mute, Susan. You got your physical hand going.
Go ahead.
Her real
Sorry, my
hand.
screen is really blurry. Anyways, I hear what you're saying and I agree a lot with it. I have a question since we have Darshan coming up in July and another health band. If we have new people coming, what will we have to support the new people? So,
Speaking of
and it could be all the online programs that we're doing too. So, anyways, just a thought.
That's a great question, and we're going to get into that.
Sweet.
Anyone else?
Am I just got here because I just got off work. So all I heard was that disbanding the awakening groups, and not sure how do we keep our community together without them.
Yes. Well, we are not disbanding the community, Sheila. Rest assured.
No, I hear
Um,
that.
Yeah.
I think that they've been in certain periods of my life over the years, it has been something that's really held me together. And I think
Absolutely.
it's held a lot of people together. And I think that COVID really did a lot to blow us apart. It's kind of hard to come back together, and with things getting more intense in the world and stuff. And I'm concerned about how do we take care of each other and come in,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I know you probably said stuff that I missed, so I'm sorry.
No problem.
My response.
So we are going to get into that, Sheila, because we do want to continue as a community, and we want to look at ways of what that looks like.
I wanted to say a couple of words about just the origin of the program. And something I thought about for years is that if you look at it, it's so traditional to have a Sunday morning service for, all over the world. So, I mean, it might be Saturday in one tradition or Sunday, but getting together physically in a building as a ritual over and over again, especially if it's your own dedicated building, so you create that vortex, you create that energy. Going to church every week is a powerful thing. Or going to temple, or going to the Hindu temple. It's such a it's built into our DNA almost. I mean, as a human species, this is a ritual that we found is a very important thing. The little small villages up to a big city. So the idea that we had a physical space, even if it wasn't our own dedicated one, to be able to go there every week, every month. I want to do it every week. I thought that would be just awesome. But I know at least once a month we decided to do, so we can afford that. It was a powerful thing. I think people loved it. The idea that they could look forward to it, and the fact they could bring people to it, that they could haul those people in. To, come on, just come to this. It's different from saying come on a Zoom meeting. It's different from come over to this space over here. It's going to be somebody's house, and it might be that's all we do going forward. But I just want to say again that from my heart, it was a magical thing. It was a marvelous thing to have that in one space repeatedly. People could predict it, and people could come. We brought new people in every time. We had 4, 5, 6 to 8 people. Not many of them stayed a long time, but we got that exposure. So I just, unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that. And for us to do that again would require a real choice and a real commitment on everyone's part to say, this is a foundational thing we want to create. This is like our mini mini ashram, our temple. It's our physical grounding of the community. So I just want to tell that how important it's been to me, and would like to see us really consider what we're doing.
I want to just mention something else, Scott. I hear you. And I was thinking about that today, amazingly myself, about how there's churches and there's a certain day that you can count on going, and that's your day of rest. And you go to Sunday and this and that. And I find that our community over the years has really splintered out into so many different arenas. And there's no predictability. There's no, like, when is the program's going to happen or this and that. There's no stability. And at least the Awakened Living groups did provide stability. Every 2 weeks, this was going to happen. I'm kind of concerned about losing that kind of stability.
So I will address
Um,
that. The Awaken Living groups aren't stopping.
So what's stopping?
We're
missed
for the Awakening service, the monthly.
On,
Yeah,
oh, that one.
yeah,
Oh,
the once a month Sunday service.
Yeah, we're only speaking about the monthly service today.
oh, well, thank you for that. But that's, to me, that's the Maha. That's the Maha
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, I
Okay.
hear you.
Okay.
And like I said, there's an option if there's people who want to step up and really keep this going. Give that some consideration if that's what you want to do. I know for myself, I am going to be stepping down from the leadership role of the Awakening service after June.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just agree that it's been it's a grounding piece of the whole panoply of programs that we have. All right.
Well, let's go ahead and proceed. Anyone else need to share before we move on? Because we are going to talk about what we would do in place of the service if as a proposal. And again, this is all open for discussion. It's not anything set in stone. It's just us as the leadership team where we feel like we can go with this or what we can commit to, and different people are in different places coming up in our lives. Yes, Jewel.
I'm JJ Sama.
Oh, geez.
I would like to just acknowledge the leadership team and the time and energy and heart and love that you put into creating that that chapter of our community. I valued it very, very much. I loved participating in it. And I'd love to get your thoughts about where you see we might go. And it's possible that I'd like to step up and you know, take over some portion of getting together in our own space on a monthly or weekly basis. So yeah, I love where we've been, and I'm really excited about where we're going, because satsang is way important to me. And I think to all of us.
Is that your hand up, Annette? Are you raising your hand, Annette, or you just have it raised? Okay.
That's her arm.
As she's dealing with her wrist injury.
Got it. Okay.
So I hear you all, and I really appreciate everything you're saying. I see Suzanne. Are you waving?
Yeah, I was just curious if Scott was still, it sounded like you were definitely still enrolled in future, and you're so important and crucial in producing online opportunities. So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts moving forward. Are you in? Are you out? Are you?
I'm totally in as far as the meeting itself. And to show up, set it up, do the hybrid Zoom if that's what people want to do. The sound, the whole thing. I've actually spent a huge amount of time and energy creating that system, and it's been one of my hobbies, to do that. Yes, I'm still available. I can't do anything outside that time period, and so I can't organize it. I can't help find the space. I have no time for anything else. But yes, I would definitely show up and be one of the people that's there every time.
Cool. Thank you. And thank you for all of your service. We couldn't do anything without you.
My question now is is there training available if somebody wanted to step up and felt like they didn't have a clue what to do? Is there going to be
We can train you, Sheila.
Do you know if I'm trainable? That's the question.
Now that's your question for yourself.
You
I
don't
would
know.
say, what I'd like to propose is that we continue on with some of our ideas that we came up with, and then see where this might land in your minds at the end of the discussion. And certainly open to whatever ideas that you want. The other thought that we had as a lead team is that, you know, because we're not meeting in a physical space ongoing, which was the original intention, you know, and it's basically 2/3 of the year on Zoom. You know, the other aspect to consider is how many Zoom offerings we have already. You know, there's so many through Awaken Live. Saima is doing things online and hybrid, and you know, we still have our Awaken Living groups that Sheila thought was over, but they're not on Tuesday evenings. And maybe we look at putting them on a different day, you know, day and time. So, you know, there's options. But Doug, why don't you go ahead and share kind of what we were thinking the next services would look like, at least through June, is kind of what we've committed to. And then I'd like Trevani to share, because July Ma will be here in Denver. I'd like Trevani to share a little bit about that. And then Ashley's going to talk about some ideas of what might we do in community if we're not doing the Awakening. Doug?
Great. One thing I just want to say, just in getting on the call at the beginning and seeing everyone come on and the slideshow, is just love with how connected we are, you know, and that for me, my experience is whenever we're together, it's easy to relax into the light that we are. So I just wanted to note that because it's very, very present to that as we were talking. So we're planning on having Sunday services in March, April, May, and June. So the next 4 months. And I think, and Ashley or Ellen, correct me, like as it gets warmer, seeing if we can do them in person at Winnetka Lake, and definitely in June, because we want to include a celebration and a potluck after the service. So June, you know, depending on the other places, it's a little depending on weather. May probably should be okay, but we'll see. But June, definitely getting together so that we can really celebrate in person, and that being the culmination of I guess it'd be 4.5 years, middle of the 5th year of the Sunday services. So that's what's planned, and special guests. So, and Trevani Das will be the one leading the last culmination service.
As of right now, I think we were talking about March, April, May would probably be online, and then we will all get together in June.
Great. And then in July, take it over, Trevani Das.
Yeah, so I think many of you are already aware, so I'll just provide the details. And the idea is we wanted to have this meeting, have those 4 awakening services, is a build up towards Ma coming back to Colorado. And so what we're looking at right now is the weekend of July 1st and 2nd. So we're looking at, some of you, I'm sure you recall the Denver West Marriott in the Colorado Mills area. We did many Journey Profound Healings there. So we're looking Saturday and Sunday doing a health span by design in that hotel and part of the grand ballroom by the lobby there. So looking at doing health span by design there on Saturday, Sunday. And then on Monday is Guru Purnima. So it's kind of, you know, it's before or after, but we wanted to do Darshan and Guru Purnima. And last year, Ma talked about coming back to Colorado for Guru Purnima. So we have reserved the pavilion in City Park where we did the Darshan before, and Ma wanted to go back to City Park. Ma really liked it there to do Darshan, and So that would be July 3rd. So we're looking at having a Hellspan by Design July 1st and 2nd, and a Darshan in City Park for Guru Purnima on July 3rd. The exact time of Darshan, I'd want to discuss with the team a little bit and figure that out, given it's a weekday, but it's also July 4th weekend and all of that. So some point in the late afternoon, but not too late, but not too early either. And then the Hellspan by Design would be Saturday and Sunday with an energy session Saturday. So that's what we're looking at right now. And we just opened up the Brussels Hellspan by Design, and in San Diego, I think we took a big step towards shifting the paradigm, because I was getting a lot of questions. Do I just do Hellspan by Design one time? I was like, no, this is the work. Like, this is like, we could call it whatever we want. This is being with Ma, doing the work that we need to be doing to work with our limiting beliefs, to release our quantum DNA, to align with their highest self, to bring in the light, to work with our DNA, like all the cutting edge work Ma's doing. And I think we're starting to get a momentum and understanding of that, where each one is going to have its unique vortex and unique energy. And the idea is, by the time we get to hear this, it'll be a momentum from last fall, whenever that was, to San Diego, which is really a launch of this year, Brussels, and then Denver. So we'll be opening up the registration at some point, the next month or so, and getting the momentum going there. So I really invite all of us into having that event be our event, having the awakening services be leading up towards it, looking at what Sevas we can do. Obviously, we'll be getting our leadership team and our Seva leads and our on the ground marketing going and all of that, and have the Hellspan by Design be a blow out of the water, and then have just a beautiful turnout for Darshan. I don't know exactly who was responsible for all of it, but I love seeing all the younger people come to Darshan for the last time in Guru Purnima. And Ma also noticed it and said note of it. So whatever we did there, more of that, and anything else that we see as well. It was a really beautiful Darshan. So that's what we're looking at. July 1st, 2nd, Hellspan by Design, July 3rd, Guru Purnima, Darshan, and really invite all of us to be host, like to declare ourselves as the host for those events, and we'll be getting the momentum and the save on all of it for as it gets closer. Because Ma's coming back to Colorado. Come on. It is precious. It's precious. And it's an opportunity. We talk about what's next, what we create, and then we can create what's next with Ma, and Ma being here will infuse whatever we just choose to create what's next as well.
I just got a message.
So what were the other ideas about?
What's that, Scott?
What were the other ideas? Could we hear what your thoughts are about other things we can do?
Eager for more cool things. Me too. So I would imagine that what Trinitas was speaking about is like Ma's coming, and we're like this core vortex to hold this energy, to draw people in and to invite people to come be with Ma. And I see the next few awakening services as a ramping up for that. I think, that's what I heard. And I would imagine that the June service, we'll have an amazing service, and then a potluck, and then probably really dive into Seva and looking at how to do marketing and outreach and really come together as a Ma's core team here in Colorado to bring as many people to Ma as possible. So I see it as at one point kind of a tapering down for the awakening service, but also an expansion of energy to bring people to Ma. It's just gonna probably look like, going forward, a different structure. So we're a very diverse, talented community that can create whatever it is that we want. And I had a few ideas, and I'd love to hear from our group here. But going forward after June, say late July, August, September, looking at putting energy into the Awakened Living groups and inviting our larger Colorado community to really attend those in person and online, and really juice those up. So that's one thing, is that bringing people together to the Awakened Living groups and having 10, 20, 30, 40 people twice a month to the Awakened Living group is a fantastic opportunity, because our energy is going to go somewhere. So that's a great structure for us to return to. That's going to continue. The other thing that I had in mind was to do a sadhana Sunday or a sadhana Saturday, like a once a month thing that we used to do at our home, at Lisa's and my home, to do that at our place again, or perhaps even kind of a rotating hosting situation. If anybody's feeling called to say, and maybe Jill or Jewel up in Northern Colorado wants to host, and we include a yagya or a fire ceremony there. So those are just 3 ideas that I had: Awakened Living group, sadhana Sunday on a regular basis, and then possibly rotating hosting, including special events like a fire ceremony, perhaps once a year, or a special gathering, perhaps like a Shiva Nights gathering once a year. So those are the thoughts I had. What are other people's thoughts about how to bring community together on a regular basis if awakening service isn't the structure that's going to continue?
I love the idea of a group activity once a month, and that could include like a Magdalena Healing Day, where people could.
I'm taking notes, Sheila. Awesome. Love it. Magdalena Healing Day.
Because we are such a diverse community, we have so many things. I'm sure we've got people who can share all kinds of things, from how to communicate better, how to, I don't know,
Yeah.
dance, or vocals.
Uh-huh.
We got Mimi for vocals,
Okay.
all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah. I was thinking, can I jump in here? I had raised my hand. But
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Thought I'd just jump in. Yeah, no, Sheila brought up the Magdalena, and I was thinking there's so many things that we could focus on. We could focus on the, like you said, sadhana, but there within sadhana, there's movement, there's service, there's the global Diksha movement that you seeded, Ashley, and we could have an event where we focus on those blessings and making retraining or revisiting, reviewing, and reactivating or activating more intensely, and offering, and then, like Sheila said, the Magdalena frequencies, so we could feature these and make them feel like special events, so that it wouldn't be like this, oh, well, we do this every month. But yes, I mean, it would still be doing them on a regular basis. However, they'd have this feeling of special events, each one of them.
A World Diksha Day.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we have
where
that.
we do a Zoom
again,
where we get all over the world, World Diksha Day, and we all just give Diksha.
And the violet consuming flame, we could focus on the exploring the depths and the expansive applications of the violet flame, of visiting the archangels and the masters, like
playing in the light.
Yeah, and then there's the Navaratri, like really do some deep dives with Navaratri, deep dive with Shiva, deep dives with the festivals, you know, of other traditions. I'd even like to bring in some Native American, some of that, because we're living on land that, you know, in this area that used to be, there's some holy land here. And so anyway, just expanding on what Sheila brought up. And you, thank you, leaders. You've sparked us and helped this wave build to this point. And I think that we're gonna just make some breakthroughs into new levels of inspiration and expansion this year. Om JJ Saima, thank you.
Om JJ Saima, thank you for sharing. Thank you for your input. Would love to hear from other folks about thoughts going forward. And of course, this isn't the end all be all final conversation that we're gonna have about what we're creating together as a community. This is a transitional conversation. I see Catherine has her hand up. Om JJ Saima, hi Catherine.
JJ Ma, what I'm curious about is, do we know, or could we find out, can we do some kind of survey of people who've been part of our community to know, like, what do they need? What do they want? What works for them? Because we can sit and make up all kinds of things that we love, but what's behind people walking away? How can we make it more inviting and serve their needs, their spiritual growth, their challenges, struggles, whatever it is? How can we be there? And how can we find out what needs are out there for the community? I mean, new people, that's a little harder to do, but anybody who's been part of the community before, do we know what happened?
COVID.
I'd like to add to that, which is that if we don't really have any place where we meet regularly physically together, then it all becomes Zoom. And what's to keep someone living in Colorado? You know, they can be part of Simon's community from anywhere. And we see people moving away, and God bless everyone, go wherever you want to go. But, you know, I think, well, why do I physically want to be in Colorado? What's the reason? Yes, Moth's coming, and that's fantastic. Once that's a once-a-year thing, or hopefully it's once a year going forward. But, you know, it's worth asking ourselves as a community. If we want to structure something as physically together, I love the idea of a regular thing that doesn't have to be the same kind of format. You know, in terms of going back to the original intent of the awakening service, to have a physical space where we're together on a regular basis, and then with the teachers. You know, now we need to remove Simon's teachers and Lucinda as part of this equation. I think we're hearing some things that could replace that. You know, that we be driven by us. Wants us to step up and teach. So we could, you know, we could do a Magdalena Day, we could do a Shiva Day, we could do a movement day, we could do not a day necessarily, but a, you know, like we used to have 1, 2, 3 hour thing with different options for staying and going. So then really the question becomes, if we want to do that, is there a value in a physical space that's consistent? Maybe not. We don't necessarily need to. If people are willing to step up ahead of time, like commit 6 months in advance, okay, Ashley here and then this next person, commit to that, and the teachers who are doing it commit to that, that might be fine. But I still think it's worth considering a physical space. Having said that, I spent months and months, you know, sometimes helping, but mostly watching Ellen try and find a space. And it was hard. It was very hard. I mean, Sunday mornings tend to get used up in a lot of churches, you know, it's not available. So we found these community spaces. We found, you know, a variety of things. There are spaces that, and if we decided as a community we wanted a space that's ours, we can get it. We'll find it if that's what we really want. And again, just the last point about that is that one of the great powers of having a consistent physical space that we do it in is that people get used to it and people will come back to it. Like if I'm a new person, I come to something at Ashley's house, that's really nice, but oh, 4 weeks later, it's somewhere else now. Oh, I don't know, what's it like there? How do I get there? You just don't get that consistency. If we want to, as a community, physically draw people in to our community and support them and get them hooked in and get them connected with mom, given that she's not physically here. Having a physical space that's consistent would be, I think, fantastic. As long, you know, but someone or someone's of us would need to, I can't, would need to step up and say, we're going to find that space. And then the rest of us would need to be willing to fund it. Back to donating the whatever we do per month. You know, because it's still on the table. I think we can still consider it, but we'd have to adjust it to the teaching. We can adjust the format as long as there's enough consistency and just sweet familiarity to the process where new people are going to come in and are going to come back.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Catherine.
And part of what we're inviting people to do is not only brainstorm, but take ownership. So as these ideas come up, and I love them, I think all these ideas are fantastic. And what we're inviting people to do is, as whatever germinates in you, whatever's bubbling up, whatever it is that you feel called to and doing, and whatever that format looks like, whatever that topic is. And I love all these ideas. They're great, they're juicy. And also taking ownership, you know, because it does take people to put something together. And that's what we're inviting people to step into as well.
Thank you, Ellen.
And this is the group. I mean, the founders, you all are committed. And people listening to the recording, I know that some of you couldn't make it tonight, but if you're hearing this recording, it's a call to all of you, you know, to see what it is you're being called to commit to in the future of this community. And I will say for myself, although I'm stepping down as the lead of the Awakening service, which as we phase that out, or if it continues in some form, you know, I'm still going to be a production lead, Darshan lead, helping with the Awakened Living group. So I'm still here. It's just how much time can I put into different areas. So we all have to make that decision for ourselves.
Ashley and Ellen, just wanted to mention that the Sadhana Saturday idea of moving that location around, both Susan and I are committed to being a part of that rotation and opening our home for that. Also, there's a lot of new teachings in different formats today that didn't exist 5 years ago. And there's some really exciting possibilities that are opening up, like really transmuting personalities such that medical issues and physical ailments can literally go away with the old personality. I mean, there's a lot of evidence in other communities that it's very possible to have spontaneous healings as a result of this kind of work. And if we as a community can actually start generating that, that would be really exciting to witness and to be a part of. So, I mean, that's the kind of effectiveness that I think is going to have people get into their cars and come over for a Saturday to really generate that kind of real change in their lives. Thanks.
Thank you. I know we're at 8 o'clock, so we want to, I thought Travis, you wanted to share, maybe it's Emily. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm JJ Sima. I just would like to reiterate how impactful it's been for the Quebecois community, as Emily has incorporated them and the, you know, we've had, I think, typically 9, 10, at least people joining us from that community. And that has been a really great service to them because they have less structure currently right now. We have bi-weekly meetings and, once a month meetings, stuff like that. And Emily's opportunity to translate has been a great service to her. And it seems as though it's worked pretty well with, the teachers that have, been directing. We seem to have the technology to work that out as a hybrid organism. So I just encourage that continued participation with whatever we do going forward.
I think we could grow that as well. And there's other communities, if we tap that in, a community run, community generated activity set, consistent going along, go ahead and start reaching out and pulling in different groups, around the country. They can all come in. But, one of the things I was so impressed with in Marco Island was how Ma kept saying, you should be here, but the physical presence was more powerful than the Zoom. If Zoom's all you can do, great. But, being together physically is the great power.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Scott. I see. I'll just remind us one more time that our Awaken Living groups happen, twice a month, and that opportunity is not going anywhere. And that's physical space, that's regular, that's available, that's hybrid, that's still for us. And I see our time is just about up, and I see Raina still has her hand up. Raina, do you want to share just briefly before we wrap?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that I've really loved the space, and I so appreciate the amount of energy and time that's gone into creating the space, both from the teachers, the Mohammed Alishwar, from Lucinda, from Scott, from Ashley, from Ellen, and I just really appreciate the call to action, because I feel like coming to the Colorado community, even like 10 years ago, I feel like we were having this conversation about the community here is so impactful, and we have such amazing teachers and such amazing leaders that it's easy to take for granted. And it's easy to just assume something will be created for us and that we don't have to be a part of that process. And I know I absolutely own taking that for granted and just being like, I can just show up. I don't have to do anything. We have fantastic teachers. We have fantastic people organizing. And so I just wanted to name that. And also that in the past, I've experienced a lot of trepidation at the idea of teaching in this community for the same reason, because I am teaching to amazing teachers and to amazing people in this community who I am afraid will judge me. And, working on that, and, this call to action, I think, is a call for us all to step into that discomfort. And I have so appreciated the opportunity to teach at the Awakened Living groups. And, we have I think it's like an every 3-month rotation among 6 teachers who have been teaching. And I think it would be amazing to see more people stepping into that. It's such a good opportunity just to practice and to play. And I've really valued that. And it's also lowered that barrier for me in terms of just experiencing the anxiety that I experience about the idea of standing up and teaching. So I just wanted to underscore that those groups exist and that they're a really good opportunity, I think, to practice teaching and taking ownership, and that I at least am committed to continuing to show up in that space and continuing to teach in that space, and I'm also committed to showing up for whatever this group creates. So thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and I'm excited to see what we get to create next together.
So just as a very, very quick summary, the kind of things we're looking at is at least 2 people who are going to be the organizers. They're going to take responsibility for that. We're going to look at, it could be those individuals or others who are going to take responsibility for the space. It could be a single space that we find and rent. It could be organizing physical spaces around the community, getting them locked down, getting them committed. So there's someone has to put attention on that. And the third thing is someone or someone's, could be the same people, who are putting their attention on what are the programs, what are the teachers, and what are they going to do, and getting commitments from them in advance. I don't know how many times we've had listen to Ellen say, we have no idea who's teaching the awakening service this week, this month. And it's like nobody can do it, everyone's busy, that can't happen. So these are different kind of responsibilities that people can step up into, and there may be more. Think about it. So there.
Well summarized. Thank you.
And who should they talk to you, Ellen and Ashley? You know, someone who's interested.
Ashley.
Ashley?
Ashley will take all proposals. They're all going to go to Ashley. God bless Ashley.
Very good.
I would just like to say in conclusion how much I appreciate each one of you and everything that you've done. I really think we have accomplished so much as a group. And beyond that, I feel our bond. And that is something that we came together, we created something, we carried it through for over 4 years, into 5 years. And that for me is a bond that is not going to, it's unbreakable. We're together, we're in this, we're the Colorado community, we're the pillars of the Colorado community. We're welcoming more pillars in anytime they want to be with us. And as Raina said, we just invite you to be the leaders that you are throughout our community.
I have to add a fourth job, which is promotion to the outer community. That's another thing that is a big part of our original program is consciously reaching out, you know, posting whatever it is, you know, that's another thing that people can step up into.
And producing it.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Well, my dear ones, thank you all so much for your time and your seva and your support over the last 4 or 5 years. And the conversation will continue.
Any closing
no
remarks
doubt.
from you, Doug, or you, Doug, or you, Trevani? Do you have any closing remarks before we close?
Love, love, love. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude.
Thank you.
For me, as we're closing, I was just reflecting 15 years ago when I moved to Colorado. I moved into someone's house in Boulder and go to school in Aruba. And once a week, we'd go up to the Boulder Center. And it was my lifeline to my spirituality, to Maud, my heart. And sometimes I was so tired, I would just lie in that room and sleep. And the community would just hold me in that space, you know, going to grad school and everything I was going through. So I'm just in a place of gratitude. And I see some of you that were there then and joining the community since, and just in gratitude and love. Thank you. Jai Sai Ma.
JJ Sima.
Happy Valentine's Day, all. Love you all. JJ Sama.
JJ Sama.
All you need is love, love, love is all you need.
JJ Sama.
JJ Sama.
JJ Sama.
Thank you all.
JJ Sama.